On this edition of Kababayan Today, Fil-Am television producer in Hollywood, Sheilah Pacete, joined by her parents and son for Mommy Mondays. That's all next on Kababayan Today. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si G. Tanji and welcome to Kababayan Today. Today's a very, very special episode and I'll tell you why. It's not only Mommy Mondays, it's also Mentor Mondays. You're probably wondering, bakit, di ba? But there are some people that you meet in your lifetime that really have an effect on you throughout the course of your entire life. This is a woman that I met when I was in my very early 20s that really has defined to me what a Filipina is. Even though she grew up here in America, I wanted to pursue exactly what she was doing at the time. And guess what? 15 years later, it happened. But I'm very excited to share with you my journey in meeting this wonderful woman who's here on Kababayan Today, Sheilah Pacete. Hi, Sheilah.
Hi, G. Thanks for having me. And I'm so incredibly proud of you and been watching your career. And, you know, I still remember the time we first met.
Yes. Okay, so let's tell the viewers how we first met. We met a decade and a half ago on the beautiful shores of Boracay.
Yes.
Sheilah was a producer at the time for a wildly popular reality show, one of the first actually, called Wild on E! Network. Take us back to that time, Sheilah, when you were this budding producer who grew up in America, who was coming to the Philippines for the first time.
Well, you know, I had gone when I was really young. And when I started producing and I was doing travel shows, I really wanted to go to the Philippines. My first show was called Wild on Adventure. It was on E! Entertainment Networks, the second highest on the network at night. And so when I had the opportunity to finally produce, I said, this is the show I want to do. And I loved adventure sports at the time. It was sort of the rush and the things that everyone was doing. Wild on was a very big party show. But Philippines was on my top of my list. And I said, let me go to the Philippines. Let me please show a snippet of it. Because I remember growing up always seeing the beaches and my mother and father talking about it and how they always say, I want to retire and I want to go back to the Philippines. And, you know, this island life, it's so relaxed, it's so wonderful. So my version of it was, I want to showcase this. I want everyone in America to know, even though I didn't grow up in it, I was born there, but had really no idea about what the country was all about. So this gave me the opportunity. So I went and I filmed a little bit for Wild on Adventure. So it was just, you know, I contacted the tourism board, and it at the time was Secretary Araneta, who is a fabulous, wonderful woman, and her son, Leon Araneta, who helped me and traveled with us, and we went to Boracay. So my second trip was approved for Wild on the Philippines. And I said, I want to do a casting. I want to find these Filipinas. I knew no one there. And I said, I want to go and I want to, you know, showcase these beautiful girls, because there's one thing that Americans don't know this, but I think, and most Filipinos, everyone knows this, is we are an island of gorgeous girls. And in the sense, every girl there is in some sort of a pageant. They're all pageant queens. So when I went to the Philippines, I met every pageant queen you can imagine. And then there was you, who wasn't the pageant queen. You had been hosting and acting, and we brought you on for Wild on the Philippines as one of the talents.
Yeah, so I mean, looking back at that time, I was going, wow, she's Filipina, she works in Hollywood, and she's, you know, you were primarily responsible for showcasing the Philippines. And I think sometimes that's what it takes. It takes a producer or someone on that level to make the decision that, you know what, we're going to highlight the Philippines. People don't really know what this place is about, but we're going to do that because there's something about discovering our roots for ourselves.
It really was for me a journey, because I had no idea. I wanted to, you know, I'd been to Boracay. I wanted to see other things besides just going to the province. You know, my family, my mom's family has property in the province. We would go, and it was so small town. It was very, I would never, I grew up in the valley, the San Fernando Valley. I am the typical valley girl, and it's like, you know this. I grew up thinking I had blonde hair, blue eyes. I never knew that I was brown. And then when I realized I was brown, I was so proud to be brown. I wanted to be tan, and I wanted to be as dark as can be when I would go to the Philippines.
Oh, you were so beautifully tan.
Dark. And
yeah.
everyone would say, why are you sunning so much? And because in the States, brown is amazing.
Brown is beautiful,
yes.
right? But in the Philippines,
no. It was such a culture shock for me that no one wanted to be brown.
Yes, because there's this connotation na, ay, pag maitim yung balat mo, mahirap ka. Because, you know, you're working in the fields. Not the case in America.
Not the case. You want to be the tannest you can be, and everyone, when I was little, would say, I want to be your color. You're so olive. You're so brown. And then in the Philippines, I get there, and they're like, God, you're so brown.
But that, honestly, is, you know, the difference in perception, right? So growing up here in America, like you said, in the San Fernando Valley, how was that like being Filipino-American? What did that mean?
You know, I didn't grow up around a lot of Filipinos. I can't say that, you know, oh, I know Tagalog. That's like one thing that, I don't speak Tagalog. I understand you. It's just when I grew up at that time, no one spoke it because they focused so much on English.
That's
and
right.
It was rude to speak in another language in school in front of other children. Now the kids, everyone's talking 5 languages.
Right.
You know, for me, I didn't have that opportunity. I understand Spanish, I understand Tagalog, but it won't come out of my mouth.
That's right. But you're not alone, Sheilah.
I
So
know,
many
you say
Filipino-Americans are like you that really have this desire to learn the language. When we return here on Kababayan Today, makakausap pa rin natin si Sheilah Pacete about growing up being Filipina here in America. Don't go away. We'll be right back.